on the kind of the fat burning side, you brought up sprinting. I mean, there's always the debates between low intensity cardio, high intensity cardio, interval training, things like that. One of the guys here had asked about rocks from Manila, Philippines. I always love it that I get questions from like literally all over the world. I mean, like wherever the hell Xenia is. From Lisa, I have no idea. But rocks from Manila, Philippines says, can you give us a sample interval training program that will melt away the stubborn gut, the lower belly flab, and tighten the abs? So there's an assumption there that you're a proponent of interval training, and this always seems to be the current day debate about what type of training besides doing the full body strength training and focusing on muscle like you're talking about. On the cardio side, what do you suggest?
Yeah. Well, I do prefer a mix of intensity. So I think if you're always working at one intensity, you're not really doing the best thing for your body. So while I'm not a big fan of low intensity cardio, and we all of us fitness professionals can argue both ways about that. Well, there's this study that shows this, and there's this study that shows this. With low intensity versus interval training and so forth. I do think that you need a variety. So low intensity can be great sometimes, but I don't want to do it all the time. And interval training is great sometimes, but I think you should mix this all into your routine in a good way. Now, I do prefer myself, seen better results with myself, better results with my clients with going more on the high-intensity side. Again, it doesn't mean I don't include some low intensity in here and there, but personally, I don't like to just walk on a treadmill or an elliptical or an exercise bike. So the only low-intensity exercise I get is like when I'm out hiking or something like that, or playing a sport or something like that, is more a leisure activity, as opposed to when I'm doing a workout, I want intensity, So I do get my low-intensity stuff, but that's usually just involved in one of my hobbies. For workouts, I like interval training and higher intensity, and I like to call it variable intensity instead of just necessarily interval training. A couple examples. I think I mentioned before, just going out to a field doing wind sprinting, or going to a hill, if you have a hill nearby, and doing hill sprinting, are two of my favorite forms of exercise. They're not, you can't really call them cardio, but they're actually strengthening your heart more a lot of times than just a low-intensity cardio, because you're training your heart in a much wider range. Another good example is you can mix body weight exercises with various other. For example, sometimes I just like to be at the gym, and maybe you're doing jump roping. I love jump roping. I think it's a great form of exercise. So maybe you jump rope really hard for a minute, and in between, maybe you do some body weight squats, body weight lunges, and push-ups. Maybe just a little bit of each one. Then you're jump roping again, and then maybe you run over to the rowing machine, and you do 2 minutes really hard on the rowing machine. This kind of stuff's fun. When you mix up a workout like that, I think it's fun. There's a lot of variability there. You're doing a lot of different things for your body, and it's not just like you're not just bored to tears like walking on a treadmill or on an exercise bike or something. So those are a couple good ideas. I think it kind of helps people keep into it more mentally, and gives your body a little more of a challenge.
Yeah, and that mental part is so much a factor in it, because a lot of people just give up on their training, whether it gets too boring or whether it just becomes more of a hassle than it is that they're seeing the results and everything. And they start weighing it out mentally, and it's good to have something that kind of keeps you motivated and keeps you going and everything.
Yeah. And another good point there is the mind-muscle connection, and being into your exercise mentally, like we said, is so important. Think about these two scenarios. I can't tell. So again, I've spent a lot of time in gyms for almost 20 years, and here's what I see a lot. A lot of people come in, they're on that treadmill, they're on that exercise bike, or they're on that elliptical. Those are the three things that I never use, to be honest. But again, you see people on there, and they're reading a magazine, or they're watching the TVs that are built into those machines in a lot of the gyms nowadays. Okay, so you're not focusing on the exercise. You're reading or you're watching TV. Your mind's not in it at all. You may be burning a couple extra calories, but there's not that connection. Your mind, with the exercise, with your muscles, with what's going on in your body, and I think it's almost worthless. So that's just my opinion. So I just wanted to point that out.
Wow, you are such a rebel. But that's so not many people even bring up the mind-muscle connection, and I'm glad you did. I've talked about this with a lot of my subscribers in the past too. And one of the things that I just kind of drive that home for everybody. One of the things I do with my intervals is I also kind of focus on tensing up my stomach. Now that doesn't mean as I'm on, because I'll use the treadmill as part of my intervals in some certain stages and everything. And when I'm on there, I don't put on the TV that's in front of me. I may listen to music or something like that, but what I do is I focus on tensing up my midsection, because I have to mentally focus on doing that. Otherwise, if you're zoning out, you can't kind of tense up your muscles at the same time, and that kind of helps me draw in that mind-muscle connection as well.